1, 2, 3, 4. Chop, chop, chop.
It's cure of the what now?
Gather the ingredients.
Cure of the what now?
Not much time to prep before it's time to start the show.
Oh!
Guests are arriving.
Cure of the what now?
Everybody's smiling.
Cure of the what now?
A tasty party starting. Now it's time to go. Woo!
Ooh, served hot and fresh.
Itadakimasu. Hello, fellow members of the intense training camp where we will build our strength.
Hoo-ha!
Os! And welcome to
Episode 11 of Cure of the What Now? Yum. I'm your host, Joel, and also I've got a bandana, I've got the cowboy hat, I've got the guitar, I'm ready to go into the mountains.
I'm your host, Kat, and I don't think you read the right book.
Oh, no, I read it.
I don't think you understood it.
A wise old man who I still think might be a leprechaun gave me a pamphlet.
What do you think a leprechaun is?
A magical man. Am I wrong?
Yes.
You're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? I came down in a bubble, dog. Yay, I referenced a current meme.
I'm so proud of you. Listeners, quick bit of housekeeping. We have a new mic setup because I was tired of accidentally knocking my mic off of the table.
You could just say that we have a new mic setup.
But I wanted to say that I was tired of knocking... Anyway,
but your name is Cat. You self-identify as a creature that knocks things off of tables all the time.
Silence, peasant.
That's a very cat-like attitude, to be fair.
Anyway, we have a new mic setup, so if our sound quality is different, that's why. Give us feedback. If it sounds terrible, then we can shift it around. I need to get a better table, because did you know folding tables were not meant to have mic stands clamped to them? Because I found out. I dropped a mic on myself like 4 times trying to set this up.
Very interesting, very interesting. I also have a bit of sad news. Last week I promised that the episode 1 through 10 bloopers were going to go up basically concurrent with the episode or shortly thereafter. Well, I have been moving of episodes and bloopers extras and a bunch of other stuff to an external hard drive, and it might not be recoverable. It's not certain that the files are lost, but until I get the chance to find someone who can take a better look at it, I don't have access to bloopers 1 through, I think, 7 or 8, somewhere around there. So I wasn't able to make the compilation, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, apologies for my language here, but it's amazing how computers just sometimes shit the bed.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you did anything different. One day you just sat down and plugged it in, and it said, nope.
Yeah, for the last year or so, I keep the hard drive, external hard drive, on the same place on the desk, and I don't really move it, and I haven't, put it in my backpack, so it hasn't been, thrown around or banging into stuff or anything like that, and it just kind of is messed up. Super cool. So I'm hoping I can recover the files. No promises. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Joel, you said that you had a discussion question for us this week.
Yes, absolutely. So I think I've started running out of ideas for what if all 5 of the cures were dolphins? Oh shit, that's a good one. I'm writing that down.
Wait. If this isn't the one that you were going to do, tell me. But it's Mother's Day this weekend. PreCure season where moms.
I like that. That was not what I was going to do, but that's on theme for what's happening this next week. Happy Mother's Day to any mothers out there. So the first thing you said, the first thing that came to mind when you said PreCure with moms was the PreCure themselves would be MILFs from all the different seasons, but that isn't on brand with PreCure. It's too far out of the realm. So what I would instead say is that it focuses on the relationships of each girl with their parents. And because I am a person who pushes for diversity and inclusion and stuff, one of them could have gay moms. Because I think what you do is you'd have different types of moms. So maybe one family is the working mom who, has to work 2 jobs or whatever because maybe the dad's out of the picture. Maybe he passed away or something.
Or maybe she just really likes her career. She's the high ladder climbing mom.
Okay, I like that. And then you have maybe the 2 moms, and then I think another one would probably be more of the artsy, home cooking, traditional wife mom.
Would you have her be the one who runs a family inn, or would you have that be the powered executive mom?
Well, powered executive definitely has to be in a suit and working in a building that's 50 stories high or something like that. Has a hard time finding time for her kids, but then in the episodes that focus on her, you can see how hard she's working for her family.
The best part about this season pitch is that we know the folks at Toei love to draw MILFs.
Yes.
So this season would just let them run wild with unrestrained MILF energy.
Okay. That is absolutely going in the hits from season 2.
Unrestrained MILF energy. I also think a theme of this season would be nurturing. And I think that the fairy that they get would be an egg.
And it evolves through different forms or something like that.
So, like, episode 1, she'd find this egg, our PreCure, and she'd be carrying it around, and by the end of the episode, it would crack just enough so that it had, like, feet and eyes, but it wouldn't come out of its shell.
There's a Digimon design I have to show you. It was one of my favorites as a kid, and it's an egg with legs and just the little eyes.
I am positive that I must have seen that Digimon, and I bet the thing that I'm imagining looks identical.
Exactly. Really quick, I do want to say, I mentioned this a second ago about the highlights of the season. We would love interactions on Twitter. If you are listening to this, and there's just a part that absolutely made you die laughing, please let us know. This is not just us trying to get engagement, but I'm literally going to compile an episode that is all of the highlights from funny things that we said. And so far, it only contains things that made me and Kat laugh out loud. And hopefully, people will like that. But if the fans have like, oh yeah, this back and forth was pretty good. I don't know how other podcasts keep track of their best and worst of the year or whatever, but I think I'm just going to keep track of it by people messaging us.
Every time you say the word fans, I just imagine Markiplier, like the clip of him freaking out over the fan in Five Nights at Freddy's. The fan!
Yes.
The fan is purple guy. The lore.
The lore.
I'm sorry, I'm an unapologetic FNAF stan, and at this point I'm in too deep. I can't escape.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter that I'm 30. My boss was telling me the other day, she was like, my 9-year-old grandson really likes something called, like, Five Nights at something. And I was like, it's Five Nights at Freddy's, yeah. And she was like, yeah, and he's always building some sort of skeleton. And I was like, endoskeletons? And she goes, yeah. And I was deeply embarrassed.
Maybe what happened is that there was a tragic murder. I'm not saying that you committed it, but perhaps... No, like in the area, right? And their psychic energy was drawn to you for some reason. And so they've attached themselves, and that's why you're so drawn to FNAF, because they were into it before they were murdered.
Yeah, could be. Could be that I first discovered FNAF the last time I was truly happy.
Oh.
So
that's a sad theory. Okay, yeah, I mean, absolutely. You've been looking for that series that could give you that same endorphic rush, and that's why you like Kirby, because Kirby's just, pure and good and wholesome.
He's so round and pink, and I just want to squeeze him.
You know what I've just come across?
Tell me.
I have come across the wreckage of a train, and I feel as though this train somehow got off the rails. So I'm just going to use my amazing strength given to me by the power of all the rice that I ate today. I'm going to put it back on the rails and say that normally I'm a fan of vibrant colors. I love vibrant colors, and I don't really like pastels, but for a mom season of PreCure, definitely going to get some softer colors.
We're going to have a lavender. We're going to have a sea foam. We're going to have, what do you think? Like a yellow maybe, or a
I think
light
a yellow
pink?
would fill it out. Because, I mean, we're going to have a pink, obviously, because that's going to be the main one. But now you have a pink... member of the purple family with lavender, and then like a blue or a green. So you need like a warm color that's still soft to kind of balance it out.
Absolutely. Also, you mentioned our jokes and bloopers. No, not bloopers, but like our highlights.
Yes.
Real. I was going to say something about highlights and jokes and things that we say, and it's gone. Why is my brain like this? Oh, it was a really... Well, now I'm going to
We're
be
talking about
upset for the rest of the night.
We were talking about pastel colors, lavender, sea foam.
No, it was way back before I got
really?
distracted by FNAF. Yeah, and I remembered it, and then you started talking about pastels, and now it's gone forever.
Train? Putting the train back on the tracks?
This is before that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. It's fine. Let's do the podcast. What's up next?
So I think that about covers it. I will say we've already had this with a couple of characters. I believe one of the Smile girls has...
We're gonna have to leave all this in so that it makes sense. We used to every week shout out Mermaid Monopoly Monday, and we don't have an equivalent. That was a message we got last season, was that it was from the person who made Mermaid Monopoly Monday, and they were like, oh, thanks for shouting it out on the pod. It's so good, and I need something similar.
I think we were prevented from getting something like Mermaid Monopoly Monday for the first 7 episodes, or what episode are we on? The first 7 episodes of Delicious Party, because we didn't properly have a healthy portion of Ran to add to the meal. So now that Ran's here, we might get some kind of a meme post about her.
Yeah, we've got a balanced meal. The 3 main food groups, rice, bread, and noodles. Now all we need is potatoes. Oh my god, Gentle's a potato.
Cure potatoes. Cure hash browns. All right, and I think that is going to do us for the discussion question. Today's episode might be shorter. Who knows? Check the length, in your podcatcher of choice or YouTube. But
Joel talks really well for a long time.
It's entirely possible that this might be a shorter episode, is all I'm saying. Now, you want a succinct summary of Delicious Party PreCure Episode 8.
I think I do want that.
All right, so the group has realized that the reason that the places that Ran was tweeting about were getting attacked is not because Ran is Gentle, but because Gentle follows her on social media. So Ran makes a decision, and she doesn't tell us, the viewers, what it is, but the episode title is literally called Chirurun Quits, Twitter or whatever. And so this episode is about how Ran is going through withdrawals because she really likes posting, but posting is what leads restaurants to danger. A restaurant she previously tweeted about, or posted, or whatever you want to call it, gets attacked. It's Hamburgers, and they save the day. By working together, Ran figured out that she could create her own ramen by creating cracks in the floor. I didn't necessarily like that battle, but they save the day, and then Ran says that she's not going to quit Cure Insta or whatever it's called. She's just going to make the tweets to go, which I think would still cause the restaurants to be attacked. If you take the food from the restaurant and you go home and you go, this is delicious, it's from this restaurant, maybe she won't mention the restaurant. Maybe she'll just say, I like chicken fried rice, and then Gentle will have to figure out where the chicken fried rice.
The Gentle fried curry chicken fried rice.
The curry Gentle spicy meatball. But anyway, so that's how the episode ends. The only other couple of things to shout out is that we get official confirmation that Gentle, or Gentleu, is actually President Amane. Who could have guessed? And then at the beginning of the episode, Yusuke Urameshi tried to invite Yui to that same hamburger place, and she was too busy hanging out with her new friend, and he was sad. He went anyways, and he saw Marie go into the energy force field bubble, so maybe he's going to discover their secret next episode. And that has been your succinct summary!
Beautiful succinct summary as always. Did you like this episode?
Yes, she's just the type of energy that I like to see in PreCure.
I have a humorous bit that,
Yes.
like we sometimes do on this podcast. Ask me if I liked this episode.
My dearest cat, did you like this episode?
No! They were so mean to Yusuke Urameshi! I really thought that she'd be out on her food date with the girls, and maybe they'd run into him and he'd be like, oh, I was trying to invite you to this burger place earlier, and they'd be like, that's where we're going next. Why don't you join us? But they just straight up went to the burger place without him. That's so upsetting.
Well, they didn't go without him. He went on his own, and then they found out that it was getting attacked, so they had to run there to save it or whatever.
I thought, no, they were going there anyway. They were on their way there when it got attacked, weren't they?
Listen,
anyway, they ate there afterward, and they still she didn't connect the dots.
Yeah.
It hurts my heart.
But she didn't even know he wanted to go. He had the tickets hidden behind his back. So you're right that if they had ran into him, they might have been able to invite him. But because their paths didn't cross, it's extra sad or whatever.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a boy in the opening who's wearing, again, it's the PreCure equivalent of a Gentle Mask or whatever he's called from Sailor Moon.
Tuxedo Mask.
Thank you. I need to watch the original Sailor Moon one of these days.
It's really easy to remember his name. He wears a tuxedo and he wears a mask.
Oh, okay. Cool. Much like how I am jeans and t-shirts, man, when I go out to fight crime.
Right. And nope, not going to finish that joke.
My wife does not want to reveal that she's been wearing a potato sack for the past 3 days because only when she is good do I allow her to buy clothes for herself. I am the wicked stepmother in this relationship.
This has gotten weird.
I tried to yes and you. I tried to come up with a humorous thing like what could you possibly be wearing that would be appropriate, that would be funny, you know? She's wearing a delightfully oversized bow, and if she tilts her head even slightly to the side, she will fall over. It's very top heavy.
Please, he won't let me take it off. The bow stays on.
Now you're making it weird.
Anyway, no, I did like this episode. Ran is incredible.
She's pretty good.
I no longer care about any character except for Ran and Yusuke Urameshi.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm not sure how Ran has solved the Curesta problem, but also considering the fact that Gentle seems to be having some kind of identity crisis of some sort, I don't think that we're going to have to worry about the Instagram being the source of the attacks to begin with. Kat, do you want to go into any more detail about what we're seeing with Gentle and what might be happening?
Sure. So at the end of the episode, we see someone kind of like dizzy and stumbling. Like, I'm pretty sure we saw it through her eyes for a second.
Maybe, yeah.
And then this mask comes off and she looks at the mask and then the camera zooms out and gasp! It's the student council president. And she seems really confused and kind of dizzy and disoriented. So I just want to say, last episode, we called it. It wasn't a haunted hat, but it is a haunted mask. There's a spirit in that mask, and it takes over.
Yes.
Someone call an old priest and a young priest.
Absolutely. Well, and earlier in the episode, when they were in the Boondaroo gang hideout where the Badger guy goes, bring me that Pikachu, and Secret Toro goes, yes, bring me that Pikachu, and Gentle goes, I will bring you the Pikachu today. She has a moment where she kind of like clutches her head in the kind of, you know, way that anime portrays like having like a sudden headache, and she has a flashback to last episode. It's not really elaborated on, but I think at some point, like you and I were saying, Gentle is like an alternate persona, and that persona is starting to wear off. Like the two lives are starting to become like aware of each other in some way, and that's causing it to not be as effective.
Yeah, it was specifically the memory of the girls in their school uniforms.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is that it's crossing the Gentle and Amane streams.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if next episode is going to be focused on Amane. I don't know if next episode is going to be focused on Yusuke Urameshi. I almost used his real name. Why would I do that? He's Yusuke Urameshi. I don't know. I mean, I guess we know from the episode title. We can speculate what it's going to be about. But I'm just saying that there's a couple of threads that need to be tied up together, and I don't think that they're interconnected. I don't think Yusuke Urameshi and Amane together are going to figure out their identity stuff. I think one and then the other.
Absolutely. Also, maybe the two of them will join forces. Oh my gosh, maybe he will steal her evil mask, but his spirit is so strong that he'll overcome it and just has its power.
Okay, yeah, I really like that. Also, one thing to point out, Kokone and Yui have gotten their glasses of friendship from Mary. Ran has not, and traditionally, once you have all of the main characters who show up in the opening, they get a group attack. So I'm guessing in the next episode or two, Ran will get her glass, and then the episode after that, or maybe the episode where she does get the glass, is when they fill them with juice and get their ultimate juice attack, or whatever the heck their combo is going to be.
Okay. Listen to this. Gentle.
Yeah.
Silver hair. Amane doesn't have silver hair, but Gentle has silver hair and the mask. You know who doesn't have silver hair in their normal form? But if we assume that he is the same as the magical boy in the opening, has silver hair in his magical boy form?
Yusuke Urameshi. And he's got a mask, so I think we're actually onto something with this. He steals and purifies the power of the mask. This is no we. This is your brainchild. You've cracked it. You've figured out the secret to how Yusuke Urameshi is going to unlock the spirit gun technique.
I've got so many wrinkles in my brain, I could win a dog show as one of those wrinkle dogs.
One of the dogs whose faces are just entirely comprised of squish.
Yeah, absolutely. Those dogs are incredible.
They are. Also, we found out that Ran can use her noodles. I guess technically she's Yum Yum in battle or whatever, but she can use her noodles to do an attack that's called like Crunchy Cutter or something like that.
Crunchy cutter lines.
Yes, which I guess those are al dente ramen noodles.
Sometimes you fry ramen noodles.
Oh, really?
I've had fried ramen noodles as like added crunch in salads.
Okay, interesting. You have a wider experience with food than I do.
Joel, unfortunately, cannot eat ramen noodles because God hates him.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I tried to accept PreCure Giant Lady into my heart, but my heart just wasn't big enough.
It's too full of Karurun.
Yeah, absolutely. There can only be one.
The Triceratops.
Is there anything else that you want to shout out from this episode?
I don't think so. I'm looking forward to the next episode, I think. I don't have any other quotes or moments that particularly stood out.
Absolutely.
Before we move on to the next segment, I do have to call out post myself. So you remember a couple of weeks ago when I got up on my soapbox briefly about how some special interests are like societally acceptable and some aren't and people treat them differently?
Yes.
So the young lady who I mentioned who really likes dogs, I was telling her mom, like, oh, she's famous. We shouted her out on our podcast. And I mentioned that the context was this, like, socially acceptable interest. And her mom goes, yeah, people only ever talk about the dog thing and they forget that she knows literally everything about natural disasters, too. So I just want to apologize. I was fulfilling that same kind of stereotype.
All right. So I asked you if you had anything else to say, and then you said, wait, or you said, no, wait, I have one more thing. Do you see how that might be a little, which is it? Was your Amane self the one who wanted to move on, but your gentle side the one who wanted to, oh my gosh, what if his name is also gentle? Like, what if that's his transform state name?
This is going to be a confusing episode to listen back to.
Little bit, yeah.
But that's okay. My point was, I'm ready to move on. I wanted to say the thing about the call-out post on myself.
Ah, gotcha, okay.
That was the one more thing, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. Ask me the question.
Did anything happen? No, that's not the question. What happened in Max Heart this week?
Let me tell you, in Max Heart episode 8, so little of consequence happened that you didn't even realize that we didn't finish the episode.
I was about to actually say, it took us 3 days to watch, and I don't think we finished it.
We got to the fight or whatever, and we were like, man, this is so boring. And then I got up to make some popcorn, and we never came back. You found something on like Reddit while you were waiting for me to come back, and then we were like, hey, let's play Kirby, and we literally forgot to finish the episode.
Whoops.
I am waiting for Max Heart to actually start and have a story.
Here's a thought that I had while we were watching this episode of Max Heart, and I shared this with you. Max Heart would be a more interesting show to me if it was just slice of life, if there was no PreCure at all. Because I was actually kind of interested in what was going on in this episode. The takoyaki stand owner is considering giving up her stand to return to her company because they need her help with a project, and it's really weighing on her, and the girls don't know, like, how can we be supportive without overstepping our bounds? And I think, that's something that we all struggle with even into adulthood. It's not just a middle school girl problem. And then they threw the monster fight in there because they had to at the end. And I was like, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather just wrap up this other stuff.
See, I sort of agree with you, except where I disagree with you is that this episode probably would have worked better as a standalone slice of life. If it was a standalone slice of life episode, I would have no reason to watch it. I didn't particularly like Fruits Basket. Not a lot of it. There were episodes that were pretty interesting, but there was still, like, sometimes these people turn into animals, and there were, like, these interesting family dynamics. And in this episode, it was just 3 young girls who want to be supportive of an older woman, or older girl. I don't know how old she is, but, I mean, she's old enough to be working full-time, so an adult. And she waffles about whether she wants to sell the takoyaki stand, and in the end, she decides not to sell it. So from a status quo point of view, nothing happened. But I do agree that the monster of the week came kind of out of nowhere, and it doesn't really necessarily fold into the other part very nicely.
Absolutely. These would not be well combined cookie dough. You'd have like chunks of walnut in some cookies, but not in others. And
what they did is they mixed let me see. They put mayonnaise on their steak. That's what happened.
Listen, if any of you come into my mentions or Joel's mentions saying that you do this, I will find you.
Karurun will find you.
Karurun, despite only eating shellfish cookies, has very strong seashell cookies, has very strong opinions on properly cooked steak.
Absolutely.
What if they want it well done? We don't talk to those people.
Absolutely. Now, we can move on to Sweet, Sweet, Pretty Cute. We watched episodes 30 and 31 of Sweet PreCure, and I am ready to say that of all of the seasons and episodes that I've seen all of Futari Wa, all of Star Twinkle, all of Tropical Rouge, all of, what's the one with the animals? Healin' Good. I've seen all of Kira Kira.
Go Princess.
I've seen all of Go Princess and all of Heart Catch. We're 30 episodes into Sweet. We've seen all of Maho. Episode 30 is the greatest episode of PreCure I have ever seen. I actually laughed out loud several times.
He laughed so hard it scared our dog.
This episode is so good, and I love it. I took 56 screenshots to put in the sticker sheet. So, yes, I really like this episode. What actually happened in it? So, the girls got the healing chest, and they have to figure out what its secrets are, but none of them can figure it out. I think at one point, Ellen wanted to use it as a jewelry box, maybe, and Hibiki wanted to use it as like a test, like wanted to help her cheat on a test and get a good grade, essentially, and the Crescendo Town said, no, I don't work like that. You have an amazing moment between Hibiki and her best friend, Waon. Best friend outside of Kanade, I guess. Her backup best friend. And then you have, like, these weird hijinks where, like, different things are making sound effects. And then you get what I think might be the most interesting Negatone battle that we have seen yet. That takes the form of Hibiki's test, which she got a low score on because she didn't study properly, and it quizzes the PreCure. And then when it comes time for them to defeat the bad guys, they ask the bad guys, the Minor Tree and the Negatone, their own quiz question, and when the bad guys get it wrong, they get sent flying like Team Rocket. It was so good.
It was incredible. We've talked before about how PreCure a lot of the time feels kind of like a Super Sentai show.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because they're both superhero shows made by Toei, so they share a lot of the same tropes. But this Negatone felt the most like a Super Sentai monster of the week. Like, it was goofy and dumb, and it had opinions.
Yeah, I guess looking back on it, and I mean, there are a lot of monsters of the week that we've seen throughout all the different shows, but quite a few of them seem to have different styles of attack and dodging, but few of them do the thing that we've seen a lot in, like, Tokyuja, for example, or Akudama Drive, the live action that you watched. But in Tokusatsu, a lot of times the bad guys will be like, I'm a soccer monster, you can only defeat me by scoring a goal, and I feel like that happens more often in Toku than it does in PreCure.
Absolutely. Really quick, I just want to say Akudama Drive was an anime.
Right, yeah, but there's a live action Akudama Drive.
No.
Yeah, the
Kamen Rider Drive.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which is the best season of Kamen Rider, and why would you watch any other season of Kamen Rider? Fight me IRL if you disagree.
I've started 3 seasons of Kamen Rider, and the only one that I finished is Drive, but none of them pulled me in. The only reason I watched Drive is because I felt obligated, because there were a lot of other people watching it. If you like it, that's fine. I'm just saying 3 strikes.
Joel and I are going to battle it out on mic right here, right now. You only hate Drive to be contrary, because the rest of us liked it.
I felt that the the slapstick jokes were not as good as they would be if it were an animated show. The bad guy who is secretly a bad guy but actually a good father for 30 years turned evil for literally no reason. They explained that the bad guys, like the monsters of the week, have a society and they love each other. They don't want to die.
Oh, that was
and they are
heartbreaking.
killed over and over again. And even after the main character finds out that they want to live, he still fucking executes them. And we knew someone who was an avid defender who could not stand to have his ideas challenged. And when I said they're just killing these monsters, he replied, "No, they're saving the world, but some of them just wanted to live their lives." What I will say is that Heart is the coolest tokusatsu creature I have ever seen. I love him. And the medic lady was cute.
Yes. So here's what I think to come back at you on all the criticisms you've levied at the show. I do agree that I think a lot of the slapstick bits were over the top. They were a little too cartoonish for real people. They would have worked really well in an animated medium, and this just didn't happen to be animated. But the suits were amazing, especially for the main 3 villains and for the main Kamen Rider. I loved them. They looked...
Sorry, I'm not being facetious. Brain, Heart, and Medic? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought they looked so cool. The reason I wanted to watch this season was specifically and only because I liked Drive's suit so much. And it totally fulfilled my expectations on that. It had emotional beats that I don't feel like I've gotten from the other Toku shows that I've watched. For example, we do find out that these monsters have their own society and they just want to live. And that emotional struggle of like, still gonna kill him though, really affected me. And it affected me to watch this villainous general go through I'm watching my family die one at a time, but I can't stop fighting. That's who I am. I want to fight this guy so much. I'm going to let this keep happening. And just overall, I thought it was a show that was done with a lot of passion. And the jokes made me laugh, and I like the tiny cars, so...
I will admit that I'm probably harsher on it because I watch it with a group of people who are like, this is amazing. I'm like, it's fine, but this is not a Kamen Rider episode of the podcast. I will admit that I am not as passionately angry, displeased with... Sometimes I forget words, but I am not as passionately against Kamen Rider Drive as you are passionately for it. I would recommend anyone who wants to check out Kamen Rider, that is the one that gets the check mark of approval from me. But if you told me I was stranded on an island and I could either have the complete set of Kamen Rider Drive, the complete set of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1, Phantom Blood, and Part 5, Golden Wind, or PreCure Tropical Rouge, I would go with Tropical Rouge, and I wouldn't even hesitate.
You said 2 things that you don't like very much,
Yeah.
and then a third thing that you did like.
Correct.
You need to name 3 things that you don't like equally.
If I had to put Futari Wa against the other 3, I might go with Golden Wind just because it has the torture dance scene and Mista.
Mista,
you're bullying me!
I do want to throw out one more Kamen Rider thought, and then we can go back to PreCure, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned that I picked Drive based on his suit. The next season I really want to see is the season with Kamen Rider Decade, because his suit is pink, and I love him so much.
Excuse me, it's magenta.
But I've heard his season is terrible.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty universally bad, according to the people who have watched it.
I was about to say, but I heard that from a guy whose opinion we're not necessarily, like, all for, right? We don't always align.
Mr. has to be right about all of his opinions that I mentioned earlier.
But
yeah.
if it's universally disliked, anyway, I just really like him. And apparently the follow-up season that he also shows up in, because he's like the Hoid of Kamen Rider, he shows up in
No one knows what that means!
I don't care. They can go listen to our Stormlight bonus episode. The point is, apparently other seasons that he shows up in are good, so maybe I should just watch those.
Absolutely.
Sweet, sweet, pretty cure. Ah!
Right. So I do want to also point out, I left this out of the succinct summary. At one point, they're trying to figure out what the secret to the crescendo tone is. And they go, if it's music, we know one man who seems to be magical in some undefined way, who might or might not be a leprechaun, who might know. So they go to the music hall or whatever it's called.
Santa is a magical man. Is Santa a leprechaun?
Santa does not have a doll that he purposely left behind for the purposes of team building that was also a purse. Leprechauns are associated with gold. There were gold coins in the Odakichi doll.
Okay. You win this one.
He doesn't have a horn,
hater.
okay? He doesn't come out of
a bottle.
Of a bottle or a lamp or anything like that. He's not half fish or anything like that. He doesn't have horse legs. So
what else could it be?
If we see him counting individual grains of sugar, we know he's a pixie. But anyways, my point is, they decide to go to Odakichi, the wisest man they know, the Yoda of this series, and they discover the grand piano is playing on its own. And Ellen, in another great moment, is freaking out because we already know she doesn't like ghosts, and she demands that Odakichi explains, and Odakichi goes, quiet, you won't be able to hear the sound. And then the healing, or no, he doesn't say quiet, you won't be able to hear it. He says, this must mean the crescendo tone is nearby. And then the crescendo tone or the healing chest comes out of Hibiki's jacket or satchel, wherever she was keeping it, and it flies over and she goes, are you doing your part to make sure it's complete? And he goes, I promise we'll have this complete soon or in time or something like that. And the girls go, could you please explain how you know all of this? Because this is magic shit. You're not a girl, so you can't be a PreCure. How do you know? And he looks at them and he goes, well, the answer is, you'll know later. What the actual heck?
Thanks, Odakichi. As always, you are incredibly useful and not at all frustrating.
the other seasons have had characters that knew more than they let on, but they basically didn't reveal that they knew more until they were asked, and then once they're asked, they basically tell you directly. And so you either get they spoil the mystery too soon, or you get they drag the mystery out too long, in my opinion. I think those are the kind of the two extremes. But with Odakichi, what they've done is they've said, here's the wise mentor figure. He does in fact have all the answers, but when you ask him, sometimes his answer will just be, I won't tell you that.
Odakichi is God.
Odakichi is sometimes depictions of God.
Sometimes you pray, and the answer is no or not yet.
Absolutely. Odakichi comes to those who wait.
What about Cure Muse?
What about Cure Muse?
Well, Odakichi comes to those who wait. Does Cure Muse come to those who... You know, she comes to those who she feels like, because she's a cat.
Because she's secretly a cat wearing the Gentlu mask that transforms her into a magical girl. Listen, if we're going to bring religion into this, and you and I are most familiar with Christianity, I would say that Odakichi would be God, and Cure Muse is the sun, and Hummy is the Holy Spirit.
This tracks.
Yeah. Anyways. You looked like you were going to say something earlier.
I don't know that I was going to say something. You've got a quote written down from episode 30 in our scratch pad, and I don't actually remember the context. I think this was at the beginning of the episode when they're just thinking about the healing chest.
It is. So let me give a little bit of context. During the middle-ish part of the episode, they decide that they're going to ask the healing chest, not for help on the test. It was something like, if we ask the healing chest, the healing chest will explain why it was making all those sounds around town. And the other girls go, we tried talking to the healing chest earlier and it didn't really work. And she goes, just feel the healing chest. And the other two are like, then go for it. And she goes, feel it again. And the other two go, you don't have to say it twice. They were embarrassed by her enthusiasm. And her cryptic, like, pseudo-spiritual, your heart will connect with the heart chest.
These two episodes, Ellen was so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not even going to say this is out of character, because she was campy and over the top as Siren, too. Like, she loved costumes and attention.
Absolutely. You have some mid-season cures who are more interesting specifically mid-season Kiers who were like villains before they showed up, who are more interesting as villains, and then they get purified and they're not as interesting. Someday we'll do a Go Princess episode where we specifically talk about it. You and I don't really like Toa post transformation or whatever, but Ellen and I would say Ys/Setsuna, they're really good characters in completely different ways. Setsuna's journey was about like learning basically how to love, more or less, and what family is. But Ellen is more focused in this episode and episode 31. She's just funny. She just has so much character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she really is becoming one of my favorite characters from this season. They're also good. This is just a good little found family of girls.
Yes. We also, really quick notes, because we should move on to episode 31 shortly. One, we discovered that Waon, the blue-haired girl who's also very sporty and Hibiki's on a lot of the teams with Hibiki, we found out that she's secretly Epona from the Legend of Zelda series. Hibiki is in class and she's frustrated because she wasn't able to study for this test. And she goes, I've got an idea. And she just whistles. And Ellen and Kanade are like, what is she doing? The door slams open and who is it? It's Waon. She's like, you called? She has a secret whistle that she responds to.
We joke a lot about this season being sapphic, or PreCure in general. But that was the gayest thing I've ever seen.
So good.
It's not just that they have a special secret whistle. It's that she came running and threw the door open when Hibiki whistled. Like, she was listening for that whistle. She was on the edge of her seat. When will Hibiki call for me? I will be there.
You know the meme of the child that's sleeping soundly and the soldier jumps in the way? That soldier is Waon, and the child is Hibiki. She will do anything to protect her friend's peace of mind.
Absolutely. Except help her pass a test, because turns out Juan's dumb too.
Turns out that, yeah, absolutely. 2 peas in a pod, those two. The other thing that I really quickly wanted to point out is at the end of the episode, after they beat the bad guy, actually it happens twice, when the baritone shows up and goes, Negatone! And the note starts to transform. The thing that transforms is Hibiki's test, which she did terribly on. But once it starts trying to transform into the Negatone, she tries to grab it and pull it back because she doesn't want anyone to see her test score, a la the episode of Tropical Rouge where that happened with Laura's secret wish or whatever. And then at the end, when Hami's purifying it, it shows the little ring of musical notes or the scales around the now defeated Negatone or whatever. And Hibiki quickly runs up and grabs the test and pulls it down so that no one will see it. And he's able to. So that's wonderful. That's so good.
Absolutely. Tell me about episode 31.
Yes. Detail I forgot from episode 30. Hibiki stands up and she is all like, I'm going to do my best. And the musical note is or the crescendo tone. I keep calling it the wrong name. The crescendo tone goes, all right, I'll lend you my power, be absorbed into giant crescendo tone, obtain Super Saiyan powers. But Hibiki is like decoupled from the music force, if that's what it's called. And so in this episode, they try to figure out how can they get stronger. And they ask the crescendo tone, and the crescendo tone says, what am I, your mom? You have to figure it out on your own. And you're like, thanks, crescendo tone. So Hibiki decides that they're going to go to the mountains and train. And what follows is a series of hilarious kind of one-off moments. Hibiki wants them to practice karate, and the other two girls aren't really feeling it. And then Kanade suggests that they dance, and Hibiki and Ellen aren't really into it. You would think that Ellen would be into it, but whatever. And then Ellen decides that what they need to train is their spirit, and to do that, they do some Zen meditation. And while this is all going on, the minor trio are also trying to train, and what they decide the best thing to do is to just eat as much food as possible. I guess the idea is like the protein will help their body or whatever. They're idiots, all three of them. They don't really have. So they just eat a lot, and then they get fat momentarily. I'm sure by next episode they'll have shaken off the pounds or whatever. They'll have run a couple of laps or something. and then the Negatone attacks, and the girls work together because they learned through their camping excursion that basically all for one and one for all, that they're together in this, and they harmonize, and they all get slurped up into the crescendo tone, and they get a new final attack, and they use that to save the day. And that has been your succinct summary.
Usually, this is the part where I would ask you if you liked this episode. But instead, I'm going to skip ahead slightly to share a single one of our sweet sound bites from that one welder guy, James. Let me see if I can do this justice. Cowgirl Ellen! Cowgirl Ellen! Cowgirl Ellen! Cowgirl Ellen! Ellen was a cowgirl in this episode briefly. Actually, the whole episode.
Yeah, until they showed up to fight the bad guy. So, much like how there was an earlier... What was the other episode where Ellen went overboard and she misunderstood something? Do you remember?
That was the episode where she introduced herself to the class.
Okay.
And she wrote her name way too big on the whiteboard.
Okay. I thought there might have been one where Odakichi gave her a book and she read it and she took it too literally, and I think it might have been a different episode. But the point is, Odakichi gave her a handout about what camping is like, and either the brochure was wrong or out of date, because Odakichi is an older gentleman, or Ellen focused on the wrong part or misunderstood it, but she decided that she was going to bring her cowgirl outfit and a guitar, and she was ready to play her top favorite 10 songs or something like that.
There's a moment where she says, in English, camp is life, life is guitar.
Yep. It's pretty great, isn't it?
I love her so much. She's ridiculous. Everybody is ridiculous in this show. The minor trio talking about, ooh, the forest doesn't sound that scary. Mephisto's just a...
Oh, crap! I have to mention that because that's very plotly relevant. The minor trio are talking to Mephisto and they say, hey, the girls got the healing chest. And Mephisto was like, oh my gosh, they beat the Forest of Evil. And then frickin' Baritone goes, you know, I don't want to say that you suck, but is it possible that you suck? I don't actually think that you tried to get the tone. And in a kind of joking, I'm a dumbass kind of way, Mephisto goes, I did try to get the chest. It was really scary. Why can't I remember what happened? And while he says that, the camera very clearly zooms in on his ear, the note or the noise of evil that we've mentioned before. So Mephisto has been controlled by someone, confirmed. This is just like how we were suspicious of the butler in Tropical Rouge. I'm not suspicious of Mephisto. I'm suspicious of the fact that Mephisto is an agent working for someone else. That same someone else was the one who originally tried to steal the crescendo tone and is now controlling Mephisto and will be revealed to be the actual bad guy.
I can't wait to meet them in episode 40, I guess, because we're getting up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do
Do you have any other thoughts you want to share about this episode?
The dancing moment seemed to be a Fresh PreCure reference because Fresh came before this season, directly before, and while they're dancing, Kanade has her phone out and it's playing a song that is the same song that the girls practiced in Fresh PreCure. I like that a lot. I loved their outfits. I loved their karate gis. I loved their dancing outfits. And then like kind of tracksuits, I guess, while they were doing their Zen meditation. And I love that their legs fell asleep because as soon as they were sitting cross-legged, I thought to myself, I can never sit like that for long because my legs go to sleep. And then it becomes a plot point that their legs all fell asleep. And Hibiki's the one who realizes, once again proving she's the main cure between her and Kanade, that, oh, we can all just give up together. It's like, I didn't expect that to be the realization that they came to.
I love that Hibiki is really coming into her own as the leader of this team.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, she doesn't have any special skills exactly. She's not this incredible singer. She's not super smart. But she cares about her friends and she can connect to their hearts.
Yeah, absolutely. I remembered something else I wanted to bring up about episode 30 very briefly. We see Akko, and for the first time in a while, she showed the faintest hint of a smile. And I thought that was really neat.
And then Hibiki ruins it.
Yes. So I kind of mentioned this, but to go into more detail, the crescendo tone can add sound effects to real life things. So every time Hibiki gets depressed, and they play this off as a mystery for a while, but you eventually figure it out. But anytime Hibiki is depressed, the crescendo tone makes it so that, like, stepping on the stairs makes like a doot 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 kind of a sound, and there's like kids playing baseball, and when one of them catches the ball, it goes like badoink or whatever, right? And at one point, Akko is making fun of Hibiki for not studying for her test. What does she know? She's in 2nd grade. The last test she took was like coloring with crayons or whatever. But as she's stepping away, there's like this badonk sound, and then Hibiki starts laughing, and that's when she gets frustrated. But for half a moment, when Hibiki's like, I tried really hard on this test, really, you see Akko kind of do like this little smile, and then she walks off. I hope that someone gives Akko a hug, and I hope that it heals whatever wound is over her heart.
Yeah, how are you that jaded about friendship and life that young in a PreCure show? Because they're not going to be like, oh, she was badly abused, which would be a very serious topic for PreCure to address.
Yeah. Her twin sister died. Like, no, that doesn't really seem like the sort of thing that PreCure would touch upon. She just continues to show up, and I really appreciate that they introduced this character just so that Kanade's little brother doesn't seem like a loner. Like, Soda has a friend. He hangs out with Akko. In 20 years, maybe they'll be married. That would be kind of... I could see that being a successful ship or whatever. But anyways, that's just... It's something that you mentioned, Hibiki coming into her own, and we're talking about Ellen kind of becoming her own character as well. And I just think that Akko is showing a little bit of that growth as well. But not much, because she's not a main character.
Absolutely. We got a new attack.
We did get a new attack, and I actually wrote it down this time.
And you wrote down their little speech about the power of friendship that led up to it.
If only there were 3 of us on this, because then one of us could be Hibiki, Kanade, and then Ellen. But Hibiki, we figured it out during the camping trip. Our power wasn't strength alone.
Kanade, when we're in trouble, our 3 hearts act as one.
Ellen, and overcome everything. That is
the PreCure's power.
And then it's called PreCure Suite Session Ensemble. And they get in a circle. Weirdly enough, there's 3 of them in the circle, and there's a very conspicuous 4th place missing. Muse joined the circle. There's also 4 colors on the front of the healing chest that correspond to the colors of their fairy tones. But they gather around it. The fairy tones make a very bright rainbow-colored beam, and then I don't actually remember the animation, but they fly forward and they just deck the bad guy and blow it up. And then they do a victory pose, and it's not as enthusiastic. Their previous victory pose was 2 of them jumping in the air really high. That was Hibiki and Ellen. This one, it's a little bit it's more constrained, but they're all in frame, and at no point is Kanade's face hidden behind the arms of Hibiki.
Absolutely. One more thing I want to shout out from this episode. Hibiki has a moment where she realizes everybody has something they can do, right? As part of this team.
Ellen, as fast as a cat.
Yes, Ellen is very fast and nimble, so she will scout the way up the mountain. And Hibiki is very strong, so she can carry the backpacks. And Kanade's like, I'm a useless B-word. What can I do, Hibiki? And Hibiki's like, you are a useless B-word, but you're not always a B-word, so why don't you keep up that kind smile of yours?
Gay. It was, oh man. Some might say that it's not very masculine to have a podcast where you discuss PreCure. And to that, I just want to say that when Hibiki said, keep that smile of yours, I squeed out loud because it's just so wholesome.
Yeah. And I will say, as a woman who ran my college campus's My Little Pony Club, most of my members were men. Men like cute girls doing cute things, whether they are horses or girls.
Yeah, absolutely. Now's not the time for me to get out my soapbox, but masculinity and maleness has all sorts of different looks. So I just want to put that out there.
Honestly, I feel like appreciating girls is the most masculine thing. That doesn't seem like a feminine thing to do.
You know what? Absolutely. I wrote down a note here, and I really wish I had elaborated more details. This is probably going to get cut. I put Joel has a lead on Kier Muse's identity. And I swear to goodness, I had a funny joke about this. It was something related... No, it really is gone. I'm sorry about that.
It is okay. You can tuck it into your back pocket, and if you remember what it is, if you solve the cipher, you can share it next week. I'm really entertained by That One Welder Guy's sweet soundbite thoughts this week.
Really quick, next episode, we will be covering episode 32 and 33 of Sweet and episode 9 of Max Heart.
Yes.
I wanted to be in the habit of always stating that explicitly, and I kind of stopped doing that.
That's a good idea. So, James, That One Welder Guy, had 2 thoughts that were explicit responses to the podcast rather than episodes. One was, I need a cure that says, okay, boomer, to a villain. Yeah, we finally did it! We finally pitched a PreCure season where boomers weren't the villains.
We never really talked about the villains in the mom season.
Oh, the villains would be us. They'd be childless millennials.
Just roaming the street in their little millennial gangs with their slices of avocado toast and memes.
Exactly. The other thought that entertained me was James said, I think Sinatra, our cat, wants to be on the pod. She had thoughts, Joel.
Sweet meowed bites was your brainchild. I love that.
I'm surprised with how quiet she's been today. She must be off sleeping somewhere.
Absolutely. She found a warm place.
And Gigi's been really quiet too. Our pets are being suspiciously silent. What crimes are they committing?
I drugged them. I didn't actually.
Yeah, it's probably not something you want to say.
What? I gave them a crisp $5 bill and told them that they could buy as many gumballs as they want, but every time they make a sound during the podcast, I'm going to take one of the dollars back.
Oh no. You gave them a crisp dollar bill, and every time they make a sound, you're going to take a dollar back.
I believe, if I record and replay the tape, that I said I will give them a crisp $5 bill. Although I don't know how I would take a single dollar back if it's in the form of a single bill, so...
We'll think about it. We'll workshop it. James suggested, and I really want to hear your thoughts on this, but James suggested that Rand's PreCure phrase or speech, like, energy from piping hot rice, should be send nudes with the double O's because it's short for noodles.
James, come in real close. You're a degenerate.
That is not nice.
I love the joke, but that's inappropriate. As are many of the things that I say about PreCure. I'm not saying that I am somehow not the pot and James is the kettle. I am indeed the pot, but that is a black kettle is all I'm saying.
Joel told me the other day I was going to go to Kerbo hell because I made a joke about Kirby's mouth. So we're all in this together.
Leave it to your imagination what that joke might have been.
James also said that he loved the withdrawals Rand was feeling from Kirsta. Like, very relatable. We give up Twitter or Reddit or whatever for a day, and we're like, oh, I want to check it.
Oh, yeah, she had the most, like, kind of expression, and maybe I'll draw that, because it was a really cute expression. Really simple, though.
Mm-hmm. We got Cowboy Ran.
Yeah?
Or Cowgirl Ran.
How is that possible? Again, last week we had Rand's Super Saiyan moment coinciding with Ellen, Hibiki, and Kanade having their, like, Super Saiyan aura, and then this week we have 2 Cowgirls from 2 different seasons. And again, it's Sweet and Delicious Party. They're linked inside my mind. I can see it now.
Oh my god, are you manifesting these episodes?
Maybe.
Terrifying.
I'll never tell.
Your psychic power is beyond me. And he shouted out the same thing that I had a problem with. Urameshi didn't get to go on his hamburger date.
That was really sad.
Yeah. He worked up his courage. I love this boy and I want him to succeed, but Yui is just too oblivious. She doesn't notice. Notice the boy, Yui. He's right there. He's got hamburger tickets. Do you know how fast I would say yes if you came to me and you were like, you want to go get hamburgers with me, babe?
Actually, I have a secret to tell you. What's this under the table?
Oh, my!
Why are there 3 tickets? Pete's coming. He's going to talk to us about some ad space that he wants to run in future podcast episodes.
We've talked about this.
Talked about what?
Pete is a valued member of this team.
Okay, can you not eat hamburgers because he's an herbivore? We can get him like a side salad or something.
We can't take him into stores.
Oh.
Or public places.
Why is that?
Because last time someone saw you carrying around a stuffed Triceratops head, they called the police.
How dare you call Pete a stuffed Triceratops head?
He's a valued member of this team.
He's a full-blown Triceratops, okay? It's just that from the neck down, he's a vampire. So when you take a picture, you can only see the head.
The police asked me if you were having an episode and if I should call somebody.
All I needed was a believer in Karurun to place their flippers upon my body and say the Karurun prayer of serenity. And it would bring me back to myself. It would cast out all of the Yarne Daws in my system. Okay?
Okay. Everything's okay.
They put preservatives in the water that are turning our crabs into witches of delays. I think we have another tweet from James.
Yeah, I do. I think we have another sweet soundbite. So we're gonna do this. I'm gonna say the first part, and you're gonna say the second part. I'm gonna be Ellen, and you're going to be our friend Waon with the blue hair. Guitar is life.
I come in, dribbling a basketball out of nowhere. I jump over Ellen. My foot hits her in the face. And I dunk over Ellen's head. Basketball falls through the hoop, hitting Ellen on the head. Ball is life.
I wish that could be our final thought, because that was so beautifully done.
This dramatic reading has been brought to you by Audible. No, it hasn't, but that would be great.
Where the books are Audible. You know, we have a professional setup now. We could narrate audiobooks. If you have a steamy fanfic that you'd like to hear my sultry tones read out loud, you know, why not?
And then an appropriately aged up Yui took a scoop of steaming hot rice and gently dropped it down Yusuke Urameshi's shirt. "Oh, that's hot," he said, flailing around. "Why would you do this to me?" And Yui went, "I was trying to be sexy."
I regret giving you access to the mic. What is the name of the next episode?
Episode 9. Episode 9 of Delicious Party PreCure is called Disagreeing 2, Combination of Kokone and Ran. So obviously, Yui is going to go on a date with Yusuke Urameshi, and Kokone and Ran are going to tell her what outfit she should wear. Kokone, being a proper lady, will make sure that nothing of Yui is showing. Her hands are covered. Her ankles are covered. Her neck is covered. Her mouth is covered. There will be nothing sensual.
Visible.
There will be nothing about this that suggests unladylike behavior. She'll have a parasol. She'll have a cane. She'll have a top hat. And Ran will tell her to wear a tube top, a short skirt, a mini skirt, and a long jacket, of course. Dye her hair like vibrant green. Everyone knows that that's like the most attractive color, obviously. And also, she'll be wearing 11-inch stiletto heels with little whirling blades on them.
Show me with your hands how long you think 11 inches is. Yeah, it's pretty long.
I'm trying to exaggerate. That's the point. That these two are going to disagree on the fashion sense and the conduct. Kokone believes that no hand-holding, no eye contact is allowed until the 17th day, and only then if they filled out the appropriate forms. And Ran is a wildfire. She just wants Yui to just go for it, hold his hands, and it will be a beautiful moment.
She wants Yui to, as my mother might have said in my teenage days, tart it up.
And that has been your final thought. Outro goes here.
It's not actually your final thought, because I just want to say I think Yui's going to have some really dumb piece of advice from her grandma about how people are like combination plates at restaurants, and sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of egg roll and a little bit of pork instead of one or the other, and that'll make Ran and Kokone be friends.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining us for another delicious plateful of
Cure of the What Now.
Please take a moment to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Or if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment, a like, or lick that subscribe bell so you know when the new episodes are going up.
Did you just say lick it?
Well, yeah, we're baking delicious foods. It's a delicious party.
Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at Pirate Ghost Host. Please don't lick me.
Can you even lick a ghost? I'm on Twitter at Cotwin_pod.
KOTWN_pod.
Absolutely. And as always, the Discord link is in the Twitter bio and also in the YouTube description.
Come join us for weekly discussions, streams, and all of the PreCure your heart can handle. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yum. Or no, I'm full!